The Pentagon just issued its most urgent aircraft threat assessment in 30 years. The subject? A fighter jet that appeared over Chengdu on December 26, 2024, and vanished before anyone could get clear footage. The Chinese J-50. What leaked 48 hours later sent shockwaves through every NATO command center. This isn't just another fifth-generation fighter playing catch-up to the F-35. This is something entirely different. A medium-weight stealth assassin designed for one purpose: hunting American aircraft in contested airspace where our fighters can't operate effectively. The speed figures alone defy physics as we understand them. The weapon's payload makes no sense for an aircraft this size. And the production timeline, China's building these faster than America can analyze what they're looking at. When China revealed two sixth-generation prototypes on the same day, the world focused on the massive J-36 with its revolutionary three-engine configuration. That was exactly what Beijing wanted. While defense analysts obsessed over the larger aircraft, the real threat slipped past almost unnoticed. The J-50. Intelligence communities initially dismissed it as a technology demonstrator, maybe a modernized J-20 variant. That assessment lasted exactly 72 hours until classified imaging revealed what this aircraft actually represents. The J-50 isn't catching up to American technology. In several critical areas, it's leapfrogged ahead. The dimensions tell the first part of this story. At roughly 18 meters in length with a 13-meter wingspan, the J-50 sits in a sweet spot that American fighter programs abandoned decades ago. It's larger than an F-16, but significantly smaller than an F-22 or F-35. This size category creates advantages that become clearer the deeper you look. Smaller radar cross-section, lower operating costs, ability to operate from austere airfields and potentially aircraft carriers. China learned from America's mistakes with the F-35 program, where attempting to build one aircraft for every mission created a compromised platform that excels at nothing. The J-50's stealth characteristics represent the most significant advancement in low observable technology since the F-22 Raptor first flew in 1997. We're not talking about incremental improvements to radar-absorbing materials. We're talking about fundamental breakthroughs in how stealth aircraft are designed and manufactured. The fuselage features what engineers call continuous curvature blending. Every surface flows into the next without hard angles or reflective edges. The canopy integration is seamless. Even the engine inlets, traditionally the most challenging aspect of stealth design, incorporate diverterless supersonic inlet technology that maintains low observability while providing massive airflow to the engines. But here's where it gets truly frightening. Intelligence assessments suggest the J-50 employs active stealth technologies that go beyond passive radar absorption. We're talking about systems that actively cancel radar returns, making the aircraft appear even smaller than its physical size would suggest. If this capability is real, and multiple classified sources indicate it is, then the J-50's radar cross-section could be comparable to or smaller than the F-22, despite being a newer, more capable design. The infrared signature reduction deserves special attention. Modern air-to-air missiles increasingly rely on infrared guidance because stealth aircraft are so difficult to track with radar. China's engineers apparently anticipated this and designed the JA-50 with advanced cooling systems that dramatically reduce heat signatures. The engine exhaust is shielded from multiple angles. The airframe itself incorporates materials that minimize thermal emissions. Heat-seeking missiles that would reliably track an F-35 may struggle to maintain lock on a J-50. Here's where the J-50 story takes a dark turn that has American defense planners losing sleep. For years, Western analysts dismissed Chinese fighter programs because of their engine problems. The WS-10 and WS-15 programs faced delays, reliability issues, and performance shortfalls. China couldn't build engines that matched American capabilities, so their fighters would always remain inferior. That comfortable assumption just died. The J-50 reportedly uses either an advanced variant of the WS-15 or an entirely new engine designated WS-19. And the performance numbers are frankly terrifying. Maximum speed estimates put the J-50 at Mach 2.2, not exceptional until you understand it achieves this with supercruise capability. That means sustained supersonic flight without afterburners. The implications are enormous. Supercruise allows the aircraft to maintain high speeds while conserving fuel and reducing infrared signature. It can chase down subsonic aircraft like tankers and surveillance planes that form the backbone of American military operations. It can escape from engagements on its own terms, deciding when to fight and when to disengage. The combat radius calculations are even more concerning. Intelligence estimates suggest 1,200 to 1,500 kilometers on internal fuel alone. With external tanks that can be jettisoned before entering combat, that range extends to potentially 2,000 kilometers. Every American base in Japan, South Korea, and even Guam falls within the J-50's operational envelope when launched from Chinese territory. The tyranny of distance that protected American forces in the Pacific just vanished. Wait until you hear about the weapon systems. This is where the J-50 transforms from impressive to genuinely scary. The J-50's weapons integration represents thinking that's fundamentally different from American approaches. Where the F-35 prioritizes internal weapons carriage for stealth, accepting limited payload as a necessary compromise, the J-50 takes a more flexible approach. The internal weapons bays can carry 4 PL-15 long-range air-to-air missiles or 6 of the shorter-range PL-10 missiles. But here's the twist. The J-50 was designed from the beginning to fight in 2 configurations. In full stealth mode, it operates exactly like an F-22 or F-35, with all weapons carried internally. But once stealth is no longer necessary, after enemy air defenses are suppressed or in friendly airspace, the J-50 can mount external weapons on 6 hardpoints. This dual role capability means a single aircraft type can perform both penetrating strikes and conventional air superiority missions. American forces need different aircraft for these roles. China just made that inefficiency into a tactical advantage. The PL-15 missile deserves special attention because it outranges every air-to-air missile in America's current inventory. With an estimated range exceeding 200 kilometers, the PL-15 can engage targets that American fighters can't hit without entering dangerous airspace. Imagine this scenario. A J-50 detects an American F-35 at extreme range. It launches 4 PL-15 missiles and immediately turns away, never entering the F-35's engagement envelope. The American pilot faces incoming missiles without any ability to return fire. That's not air combat, that's execution. The PL-10 short-range missile incorporates thrust vectoring and advanced seekers that make it nearly impossible to evade once launched. Even highly maneuverable aircraft struggle against missiles that can turn tighter than any human pilot can withstand. The J-50 carries these as insurance for close-range encounters, though its design philosophy emphasizes killing enemies before they ever get close. Here's something that demonstrates just how serious this threat has become. But first, if you're a military veteran, active service member, or someone who appreciates the dedication required to maintain America's defense capabilities, we'd love to have you join our community. Your experience and perspective help others understand what these developments really mean. Perhaps the most alarming aspect of the J-50 program isn't the aircraft itself, it's how fast China is building them. Western intelligence initially predicted first flight wouldn't occur until 2026 at the earliest, with operational capability around 2030. Those predictions were catastrophically wrong. The J-50 flew in December 2024. Multiple prototypes are already conducting flight tests, and production tooling is being installed at multiple facilities across China. Defense analysts now estimate China could achieve initial operational capability with the J-50 by late 2026 or early 2027. That's roughly the same time frame as America's F-47, which has been in development since 2014. China essentially compressed a decade of development into 3 years. How? The answer reveals uncomfortable truths about American defense acquisition versus Chinese approaches. China's military-industrial complex operates without the bureaucratic constraints that slow American programs. no congressional oversight committees, no competitive bidding requirements, no environmental impact studies. When Chinese military leadership decides they need a capability, resources flow immediately. Engineers work around the clock. Testing happens at whatever pace necessary. The result is development cycles that American defense contractors simply cannot match under current procurement systems. Manufacturing scalability represents another Chinese advantage. The facilities building J-50s were designed for high-rate production from the beginning. American fighter production lines, by contrast, are optimized for low-rate manufacturing because budget constraints limit annual purchases. China can potentially build J-50s faster than America produces F-35s, creating a numerical advantage that compounds the qualitative threat. The J-50's emergence forces a complete rethinking of air combat tactics in the Pacific theater. Traditional American advantages in training, experience, and technology still matter, but the margins are shrinking rapidly. The J-50 was designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in American air operations. Those weaknesses include tanker dependence, limited basing options, and the vulnerability of support aircraft that enable fighter operations. American fighters operating from distant bases require aerial refueling to reach contested areas. Those tankers are large, vulnerable, subsonic aircraft that become priority targets in any conflict. A single J-50 armed with long-range missiles could potentially destroy multiple tankers, stranding American fighters without fuel to return home. This capability fundamentally changes operational planning. The J-50's medium-weight design allows operation from shorter runways and potentially from China's growing aircraft carrier fleet. This operational flexibility means Chinese fighters could appear in areas where American planners don't expect them. The South China Sea's artificial islands could host J-50 squadrons, creating overlapping coverage that makes American operations prohibitively risky. Electronic warfare capabilities on the J-50 remain largely unknown, but observed antenna configurations suggest sophisticated systems. Modern air combat increasingly depends on electronic dominance, the ability to jam enemy sensors while protecting your own. If the J-50 matches or exceeds American electronic warfare capabilities, it negates another traditional U.S. advantage. The United States faces difficult choices in responding to the J-50 threat. The F-47 program represents America's sixth-generation answer, but it won't achieve operational capability until 2029 at the earliest. That leaves a critical gap where Chinese capabilities may exceed American responses. The F-35 remains a formidable aircraft, but it was designed for a different threat environment. Its range limitations and weapons payload constraints become more problematic when facing an adversary with superior reach. Upgrading existing fighters offers temporary solutions, but fundamental limitations remain. You can't retrofit longer range into an F-35's airframe. You can't add weapons bays to carry more missiles. Incremental improvements help, but don't address the core capability gaps the J-50 exploits. America needs new aircraft designed for Pacific distances and peer adversary threats. The question is whether those aircraft arrive before numerical and technological advantages shift decisively toward China. Allied partnerships gain new importance in this environment. Japan, Australia, and South Korea all operate advanced air forces that could help counter the J-50 threat. Integrated air defense networks, shared intelligence, and coordinated operations multiply effectiveness. But Allied aircraft face the same fundamental challenges as American fighters when confronting J-50 capabilities. The economic dimension cannot be ignored. If China produces J-50s at the rates intelligence estimates suggest, they could deploy hundreds of these aircraft within a decade. Matching those numbers with American sixth-generation fighters would require defense spending increases that face political resistance. The United States may need to accept operating with numerical disadvantage, relying on superior training and tactics to offset Chinese quantity. The J-50 doesn't just threaten American air superiority, it challenges the entire strategic framework that has maintained stability in the Indo-Pacific for decades. American security guarantees to allies rest on the assumption that U.S. military forces can defeat any regional aggressor. If that assumption becomes questionable, allies may reconsider their strategic alignments. Taiwan represents the most immediate concern. The island sits within easy J-50 range from mainland China. In any conflict scenario, Chinese J-50s could establish air superiority over the Taiwan Strait before American reinforcements arrive. Taiwanese air defenses, primarily F-16s and indigenous fighters, would struggle against J-50 capabilities. The ability to defend Taiwan, long a cornerstone of American Indo-Pacific strategy, suddenly appears far more challenging. Japan's southern islands face similar vulnerabilities. The Ryukyu chain, including Okinawa with its massive American military presence, falls well within J-50 operational range. Chinese aircraft could contest airspace over territory where American forces previously operated with impunity. This shifts the entire calculus of crisis management and conflict escalation. Naval operations transform when air superiority is contested. American carrier strike groups have been the primary power projection tool in the Pacific. But carriers require air cover to operate safely. If J-50s can threaten American fighters and support aircraft, carriers must stand off at greater distances, reducing their effectiveness. The anti-access/area denial strategy China has pursued for decades suddenly becomes far more credible with the J-50 in service. The J-50's capabilities demonstrate that China has achieved technological parity or superiority in specific areas. This reality contradicts decades of assumptions about American technological dominance. The question becomes, what else has China developed that Western intelligence hasn't detected? If they can field a sixth-generation fighter years ahead of predictions, what other capabilities might emerge? Directed energy weapons, hypersonic missiles, and advanced electronic warfare systems all become more concerning when you realize China's demonstrated ability to rapidly develop and field cutting-edge technology. The comfortable timeline where America always maintains a generation advantage has collapsed. We're now in a genuine peer competition, where advantages are temporary and reversible. The artificial intelligence integration in Chinese military systems represents another area of concern. The J-50 reportedly incorporates AI-assisted targeting and threat assessment systems. As these technologies mature, they could provide Chinese pilots with decision-making advantages that offset American training superiority. Machines can process information faster than humans. If Chinese AI systems prove effective, they level the playing field in ways that training and experience cannot overcome. The Chinese J-50 represents more than just another fighter aircraft. It's tangible proof that America's technological dominance in military aviation can no longer be taken for granted. This aircraft combines stealth, range, weapons capability, and production speed in ways that directly challenge American strategic assumptions. The comfortable reality where U.S. forces could always overmatch any adversary has given way to genuine peer competition where outcomes are uncertain. For military professionals, defense analysts, and concerned citizens, the J-50 demands serious attention. This isn't hype or propaganda. This is a legitimate capability that changes strategic calculations throughout the Indo-Pacific region. American responses must be equally serious. Accelerated fighter development, increased production rates, stronger allied partnerships, and honest assessment of capability gaps. The J-50 is scarier than we imagined, not because it's invincible, but because it represents China's arrival as a technological peer in military aviation. That reality requires adaptation, innovation, and sustained investment in capabilities that ensure America and its allies maintain the ability to deter aggression and defend shared interests. The easy assumptions are over. The hard work of maintaining security in a genuinely competitive environment begins now. If this analysis opened your eyes to one of the most significant threats facing American air power, hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the military developments shaping our world. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one and value your perspective on these critical issues.